Sup fam, it's Musashden. Oh my god, yes, I made a new video. But don't get too excited. It's just to bitch and complain about something that's going on. And it's gonna be irrelevant in 10 minutes, but there's so much shit swirling in the comic book industry that I thought I'd put my opinion out there, even if only 10 people hear me. I don't care, because I am a comic book creator. I get to have a say, goddammit. And if you're some little shitbird, butthole or what I say, you can just eat shit and die. Like, I'm tired of being nice to folks who don't really deserve it. Like, tired of people making assumptions over what I text out on Twitter, calling me a fucking incel. Fuck you. So, anyway, Birds of Prey came out, and shock horror, people hated it like every other goddamn comic book that has ever had a movie made. Even if a comic book movie is perfect, Black Panther, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, people will find something to bitch about. And in the case of Birds of Prey, there was a fuck ton to bitch about. My main gripe is that they're Birds of Prey in name only. Like, Barbara isn't there, so okay. They have Huntress, I guess, and Black Canary, I guess. And then for some reason Harley Quinn is there. She's never been a part of Birds of Prey, but that's not here nor there. And according to Twitter, they spend an hour and a half beating up men, and it's glorious. Why? Isn't the main bad guy typed as gay in this? Like, it's a gay Black Mask, is it not? So you got a bunch of white girl power bullshit and her team of minorities following this white bitch around, and they beat up a gay guy in the end. Okay, I guess. My main complaint was the group shot of the girls looks like a bunch of quirky hipster chicks that went thrift shopping. No one is dressed like the character they're supposed to be. Now, I know their covered up looks are to get rid of the male gaze battle thongs of comics of yesteryear, but there's a way to update the costumes. It's easy. But the costumes designers didn't give any of the girls their signature colors. Like, they're not even wearing any of their signature colors because of reasons? Who the hell knows? I feel the main problem is that they're trying to make comic book characters ultra realistic, and that just doesn't work. Because the whole goddamn point of comic books is that they are full of extraordinary people doing extraordinary things. It's the whole reason I like comics, because it's an escape from what is possible in my reality. Getting rid of the costumes and barely using their powers and abilities just makes these new comic movies so boring. I read comics to get away from all the political bullshit in my regular life. I don't want to watch a movie about, oh, poor minority woman can't catch a break. I know women, especially minority women, can't catch a fucking break. I live that shit every day. Can I see a movie about crazy people dressed in bright spandex trying to take over the damn world with smiling poisonous fish? The live action movies have always been boring to me. It's why I prefer the DC animated movies. Not only do they stay true to the comic book, but they keep the costumes and colors, and an animated clown girl can do way more than some 30-year-old in pigtails. So apparently, this whole thing that I was talking to some asshole about today was apparently Rob Liefeld, whatever, the guy who can't draw for shit, said something about how Harley Quinn's Suicide Squad outfit looks like Debbie Harry's Blondie getup. I found it funny that Rob was the guy to point this out, seeing how his most profitable character, Deadpool, is a near direct copy of Deathstroke. You know, Slade from DC Comics. Outward appearance is where their similarities end, but Rob actually admits Deadpool's design's origins are ripped off. So, if anybody gets to point out a ripoff, it's him. Like, he would know, right? Yeah, he doesn't care. Apparently, he has fuck you money. Who knew? I saw in this Twitter thread that someone asked what Rob Liefeld does, and realized all the snarky fuckboys that responded had no clue who he actually was. Rob created the characters Cable and Deadpool that are, you know, those wildly popular motherfuckers that have their own movies and look like their comic counterparts without fucking up their costumes. He's also the founder of one of the founders of Image Comics. Not a lot of people know about that last bit. Yeah. Without Rob, there'd be no Image Comics, who, in my opinion, has the best comics. Nearly all my favorites are published by Image. Like I like Invincible well enough, but Saga and Sex Criminals, they're from Image. So I like Image comics, but that Rob has very little to do with those. Image Comics, they allow their creators to keep ownership of their comics and characters. And if you don't make art or books, you might not know how important that is for a creator. It is. Trust me, I have nightmares about having to sell the rights to my creations, and whoever gets them just fucking ruins the whole thing. Star Wars. Excuse me. But oh my god, how dare this well-off white man say anything about a woman's appearance? Oh my god. Let's get our panties in a bunch. People promptly lost their shit and came for him by posting his bad anatomy drawings from nearly 20 years ago. Granted, old Rob ain't that much better now. It seems like he absolutely refuses to take a class or use references. But that's his life. I know I can't draw certain things. Cars, guns, buildings, trees, male bodies, fat people, clouds. So whatever. The point is, he's not wrong about this particular thing. He's not wrong. Her costume is ripped off. Oh wait, what do they call it? What is it? Not ripped off, but a homage. Her look is a homage to Blondie. And I'm like, why? It doesn't need to be. Harley Quinn has her own signature look that can be updated a million ways, but the costumes in comic book movies just have to be boring, apparently. Like, especially for DC, they keep trying to make everything dark and gritty and super realistic, and I'm like, this doesn't work because it's a giant man dressed up like a bat. Make that shit fanciful, okay? Like, this dude is wearing underwear on the outside. Put that shit in there. What pisses me off the most is that this seems to happen just about every damn time a new comic book movie comes out. You get these, I don't even want to call them fake feminists, but you get these people that are just like, oh, but what about the women? What about the women? Like, okay, bitch, like, this movie ain't supposed to be, like, y'all missing the point. It always seems like people are missing the point with comic books, and that it's supposed to be a crazy story about some asshole dressed in a costume doing some crazy shit and saving the world. Like, it ain't supposed to have your modern day hot takes on political shit in it. That just makes it tiresome. If you're gonna put your modern day political bullshit in it, I might as well just watch the goddamn news and imagine the newscaster in a goddamn cape and a mask. Like, does anybody out there understand what the hell I'm saying about these new comic book movies and why they're just so goddamn boring? In fact, I haven't seen a comic book movie in the theater since oh geez, what was it? Drawing a blank here. It was about a man, and I was like, oh my god, this is so terrible, but it's great. Oh, it is Venom. Last comic book movie I saw in the movie theaters was Venom. And you know why I went to go see Venom? Oh my god, solely because Tom Hardy was playing him, and I went to see Tom Hardy thickness on the big screen because Tom Hardy has got the thickness. I went for I don't give a shit about Venom or his origin story. I went to see this beautiful man on the big screen because I wanted to see his pretty face. Like, and then it also happens that, just so happens that he was playing a comic book character. So I could be vapid. I could be, what is it? What's the opposite of male gaze? I guess female gaze, but is that even a thing? I don't think that's a thing. Somebody let me know if that's a thing. I don't think it is. But yeah, this is like, as pretty as Tom Hardy was, like, wearing the same sweatshirt in every scene and being gross, I couldn't help but think, oh my god, this would look so much better if it was animated like Into the Spider-Verse was, or even 2D animated like Avengers Assemble. Like, it doesn't even have to be a 3D animated thing. Just animated, because I think that's part of the reason why I hate comic book movies so much, is because that they're putting real people in it. I'm just like, first off, this is why it doesn't work, because a real person would not be able to survive getting punched in the face like that. Like, when you think of real world possibilities for this, like, every now and then I see the destruction in comic book movies, and I go, holy shit, I would hate to be an insurance adjuster for this town. Or somebody's car gets crushed and I'll be like, oh my god, could you imagine if that was your car? How the hell do you explain to your insurance company, hey, I parked it here and a fucking spaceship with a purple dude came and smashed it? That's what I think about. Like, when you try to put comic books in the real world, like, it wouldn't be all dark and gritty and serious. That shit would be a comedy. It's like, imagine Bruce Wayne going to the dentist and telling them, hey, another one of my teeth got knocked out. And they're like, Bruce, how did you lose this tooth? And he's just like, oh, I can't tell them the truth, which is that I dress up like a bat at night and the bad guy of the week cold clocked my ass and knocked my fucking tooth out. The guy dressed up like a clown punched me in the face so hard, or he hit me with a crowbar and knocked my damn tooth out. I bet you Bruce Wayne has like dentures. Like, every regular human just in a superhero costume that's ever gotten into a fight, you know, their teeth are always flying out of their mouths. I'm just like, I bet you they have dentures, man. And just like the like, Batman worked on some level because he ain't got no cartilage left in his knees. That's the real world shit you don't think about. But I'm just like, well, you know, cool. So when you think about Harley Quinn and her birds of prey, which are birds of prey in name only, going around and just fucking up people's shit, like apparently beating up men for an hour and a half to bad bitch music or whatever. I'm just like, you ruined that motherfucker's life. He was probably just minding his business. And I'm realizing now it's because they changed her so much, and the birds of prey and all the girls in that movie, they changed them so much is because a man designed her. That's right, kids. Harley Quinn was created by Paul Dini and Bruce Timm for Batman the Animated Series, and for some reason, her color-blocked, fully covered cat suit was too sexy, so they continually dress her in wide-open overalls and a shredded trash bag, apparently, and booty shorts, which is ridiculous because Margot Robbie has no booty. I'm not sure who that is supposed to appeal to, because I think the sight of her pasty butt flaps is just ew. Like, no to that. My disdain for this is rooted in my hatred of manic pixie white girls. I'm ready for this white girl power trend to die, because all these white girl power characters are relying on women of color to prop them up, and the women of color never get their due. I don't need another movie about a white girl freeing herself and finding her power. Like, shut up. Can you shut up, Becky? Slow motion walk away from me. Do your bad bitch walk away from me, alright? Walk that way. Go on. That being said, as I draw my girls here, I'm gonna point out that I also don't need a movie about any woman finding her power to relate to me. I'm a black woman in America. I don't need a movie to tell me I'm strong and I'm this and I'm that, because I've had to be strong my entire goddamn life. I don't need a movie to tell me I can do anything, because my parents already told me that. And I realize a majority of people didn't have my upbringing. And therefore, when these bad bitch archetype movies come out, these people cling to these characters because that's the person they want to be and all that psychological bullshit. But I ain't a psychologist. I make comics and I draw shit. And even though I just said I'm not a psychologist, I just draw comics and shit. That being said, on the side of the people who do not really like these comic book movies, I find them boring and stuff, a pale comparison to, you know, the comic books that they hail from by sticking these real people in it, and they just kind of suck depending on their acting ability, which is never great. But that being said, I do have this theory, even though I'm not a psychologist. I always have like some kind of tinfoil hat theory that I toss these out every now and then, and I'm going to start tossing them out even more. But I have this theory about science fiction as in recent years, with all this bullshit that seems to be surrounding everything in pop culture. I don't know why they call it pop culture. Comics and sci-fi used to be hated. You used to get laughed at and your ass kicked for reading comic books and watching Star Trek and making your own comic books. Oh my god, you used to be the biggest fucking dork in the world. All of a sudden, it seems like, it's so popular. Like, everybody does it. Everybody's got their own fucking comic book. I mean, who was that I saw had a fucking comic book? And I was like, get the fuck out of here, bitch. I can't remember who it was, but it pissed me off because I was like, you don't give a shit about comics. Get out of here. I'll remember it in like a month after I put this out, and I'll be like, oh shit, it was that dumbass celebrity. Oh, okay. But I was like, you don't give a shit about comics. And that's where my theory comes into play here. My theory is that most of the stuff being put out in recent years, not even recent years, well, yeah, let's call it recent years. Most of the movies, most of the comic book movies seem to be written, designed, and directed by people who fucking hate comic books. Like, okay, bear with me here. It just seems that way on this end as a consumer, as someone who has loved comic books and animated crap her whole life. It seems like the people doing this stuff now just hate it, and they want that part of the industry to die. So they had the means and the position, white women, they have the means and the position to get into these jobs in the movie industry and go, hey, I fucking hate this comic book. Like, I hate comic books and shit. Either their boyfriends or their dads or somebody in their life, probably a man because they seem to hate men, probably a man in their life used to love sci-fi and everything's comic, was a huge collector, and they just weren't allowed to touch any of his collected shit, and it pissed them off that the collected shit was being loved more than them. And white girls get jealous of inanimate objects like PS4s and comic book collections and shit, and they want to torch everything, throw bleach on shit. That's some shit that they do. That's a video for another day. But anyway, it seems like the people who are in charge now were told to just stay away from somebody's collection, just stay out of it. And they're like, well, I'll show you. And they've reached the seat of power in making these movies, and they just make them as terrible as possible just to ruin it for the person who loves it. Because as someone who reads comic books and stays pretty current, all this new stuff seems like a giant middle finger to the fan base that was there before. And I'm here to tell you that the fan base, they think it's all white men, white pigs, piggy guys who are just gross and like battle thongs and high heels and shit. They think it's just those. I'm like, no, it's not just those guys who used to like comics. And it's not just those guys who hate what you're doing to the movies nowadays. It's not just them. It's me too. I hate it too. And I'm in no way, shape, or form a white man. But it just seems like the people who are putting this crap out now, they're just like, watch me fuck up this fandom. So people get pissed off. And it seems like they're just laughing at people who like comics. It's like they just did this to get our dollars, get more money out of us. And to see people who like comics just be upset that they just fucked up the entire fandom with their shitty movie, their shitty scripts, their shitty directing, and their shitty, terrible costume designs. Like, Jesus Christ, guys, take a fashion class. I did. That's why my comic girls never looked so stupid. Like, yeah, I took a fashion class. And I know how uncomfortable thongs are, so I'll never put my girls in a thong. And And here's the finished result of what I was drawing. If this video and my opinions didn't completely piss you off, like if you feel as though that you could bear reading something I wrote with, my opinions and bullshit in it, go ahead and check out my DeviantArt gallery or my Instagram or my Tumblr or anywhere else I post my stuff. And did I say like the video already? Yeah, go ahead and give it a thumbs up if you agree with me. That is it for this video. If you like the way that I draw, please follow me on Twitter, Instagram, DeviantArt, Wattpad, and Tumblr, because I am Musashden here, there, and everywhere. Thanks for watching.